Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Marketing Genius Unpacked, the playbook for building and marketing AI products that win. I'm your host, Josh Porter, founder of Bit of Genius Consulting, where I help AI scale ups turn complex technology into clear, compelling narratives that customers actually understand. Today, we're digging into one of the most important partnerships in any go to market team. That's content marketing and product marketing. When these functions work well together, you get clarity, consistency, and content that moves customers. When they don't, you just get noise. And joining me today is someone who's built her entire career around eliminating that noise. I'm thrilled to have Lee Densmer, a content strategist, author, and consultant known for helping B2B teams create effective content programs that provide the right content in the right places for top value buyers. She wrote her guidebook, Content Simplified, based on seeing patterns across 20 different enterprise content programs. The book helps teams spot content problems and fix them for better results. With deep experience across tech, SaaS, and enterprise organization, Lee specializes in aligning content, messaging, and customer needs to drive clarity, efficiency, and impact. Lee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for that intro.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into it. So the first question is, why do product marketing teams and content teams need to work together? And what happens when they don't?
Right. Let me start with some stories. I love working with product marketers. I'm so excited when I go into an organization and there actually is one because quite often they don't have that role. They have the product developers, they have a CMO, but they don't have product marketers there yet. And when I walk in to those situations, I'm left finding somebody who needs to serve that role. And sometimes it's an account manager who knows the product pretty well. Sometimes it's actually the developer, but those people aren't really messaging strategists. They fulfill part of the role.
Yeah.
The reason why these two teams need to work together is because one knows the product and how to talk about it.
Yes.
The other knows how to reach the audience through words. So it's
Yes.
the marriage of those two roles and those two skill sets that gives you the content to reach the market. Talking about the right things in the right places as aligned with both the product and with the buyer's needs. So there's a lot there that we can unpack, but there are multiple problems when those teams don't work together, when those roles don't exist, because those specializations are absolutely required to get your info out into the market.
Totally. And I like how you put that. Is
Mm-hmm.
that product marketing is there to kind of bring the product insight itself, try to talk about how to talk about it, but then the content marketing is there to bring in the way to talk to the audience and
Right.
how to talk to the audience. So I
And
like
yeah, together they're responsible for buyer knowledge. One is
that.
responsible for product knowledge, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Together they're responsible for product for buyer and market knowledge, and then the content marketer is responsible for the conversion, the converting words.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's a great way to further articulate that.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's ownership that only the product marketing person can have, which is
Yeah.
obviously understanding the product and how to communicate it. But then over the concentric circles, the 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 overlap for product marketing and content marketing is the buyer knowledge, and then the exclusive responsibility for the content marketers are to be able to speak their language and reach them and know how to activate them.
Right.
So yeah, I like that. That's a good way to describe the partnership. So great way to establish the foundation of what we're talking about today.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the next question is, how should product marketing and content marketing align during a product launch to make sure that the story is consistent and powerful?
Totally. So first thing I would say is that they must align well before the launch.
Mm,
Well before the launch. If they're only just starting to think about alignment at the launch, you're already in trouble. So they
yes,
should be collaborating early and often. They should have authored, they should have crafted the messaging
yes,
together at the beginning.
absolutely.
Again, one group is expert in the product, the other group is expert in words and
Yes,
buyer psychology and those kinds of things. So they've got to collaborate early and often on understanding the buyer, on the messaging that's going to reach the buyer, on the formats that the buyer is going to most appreciate. Like, does your buyer like video, or do they like the written word, or what will resonate with them? So all that has to be defined in collaboration with each group contributing in their areas of expertise. Lots of collaborating before lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. You do have to have that relationship beforehand in order to make it work, but also this particular launch has to be centered on a story that hopefully there's a narrative already around it. The two of you worked on together so that you're able to have some experience on how to craft the story around this particular product. Because if you don't, then it's a net new, and if it's brand new, then that either process may not work, or the product is so new to the customers that it might be seem a little inconsistent when you've got one message coming from the product marketing team, but another message from the content marketing team.
Right.
So yeah, I think
That doesn't even make sense. Right.
it does.
And another important thing, Josh, is the domain, the industry, the vertical that we're talking about, which is AI. And the reason this is so ultimately more important is because everybody has an AI feature right now.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's talking about AI. If you're up here talking about what is AI and why it's important, then you've already kind of missed the where you should be with the messaging. And a content marketer will know how to talk about AI in general. And
Yeah.
product marketer will know how to talk about the product.
Yes.
So it's really the marriage of those two to allow you to differentiate as an AI startup when there's so much noise and frankly so many misfires
Mm-hmm.
in the market right now. So many misfires, and you don't want to be a misfire if you're a startup. So if you do have a product marketer and you do have a content marketer, already you're getting an A plus, but make sure those two people are tight.
Yes.
Totally
Yeah.
collaborating from the beginning. Yeah.
You're right. There is lots of misfires because at this point, a lot of AI companies, there's so many, it's hard to see the difference. And a sea of sameness, you got to stand out somehow. And how do you do that? You have to communicate it, because you can have the best product out there, but if you're not able to communicate it effectively, then people won't know. It'll be a secret. So yeah, absolutely good way to kind of articulate that.
So I want to give an example too. I was just looking at somebody's website today, and I won't say who it was, but they literally had no content marketing. There was no evidence of content marketing on their website whatsoever.
Okay.
And the website articulated and described the product and what it does, which is very different from messaging its benefits and its outcomes and tapping into buyer emotions. So I was able to read the webpage and understand what it did, but I wasn't able to understand how it could benefit me or who it was for. So that is a huge misfire. I mean, and I can tell from what I do for a living that it was just a total absence of a content marketer being involved in the process. There wasn't a newsletter, there was no blog, there were no user, there was like literally nothing.
Yeah.
Written by a content person.
Yeah. And if you don't even if it's not clear who it's for, then you've lost everybody.
Right. And that's how a content marketer can help. Okay, we understand this buyer together. Let's get this detail. Let's get this detail. We're missing this understanding. And then craft the messaging married with product knowledge that resonates with that buyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can't understate how important that is.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Totally. You got to have that foundation of who you're talking to from the beginning, because you can't write content unless you know who you're talking to. Right. So that's a really key thing. So, and that's great that you were, it's probably painful for whatever the company was that you saw that, but that's why it's important to have content marketing involved in the process so that you know that those things are missing.
Right. I might tell them, actually, it's a product that I would like to pilot for my own use because I think it's relevant, but I'm thinking I could help them, you could help me. So I can I can see how they're missing their market through just no engagement with content.
Yeah, totally.
So don't make that mistake.
So I think that's a good kind of frame to kind of think about how content marketing can bring some of that value when you're not even speaking to a specific audience, to a specific person. You write to readers, as I'm sure you kind of think about when you're creating some of that content. So so that kind of goes to this next question of one challenge a lot of teams face is the gap between the product messaging and what customers actually need to hear. So, what do you think is the best way to ensure that content actually reflects the product's core messaging and positioning while also addressing what the reader needs to hear?
Right. As we mentioned, doing your buyer personas, and there's so many templates out there for doing proper buyer persona research, right? Don't focus on age and college education, focus on their objections, focus on their pain points, focus on their jobs to be done. And those exercises often end up, you get a 12-page document that lists all the things. That's
Yes.
not usable, right?
Hmm.
So you really need to go through an effort or a workshop where you pinpoint why those things matter and how and what you should talk about because of their pains and their objections. So doing buyer personas all the way through, like past the pretty document, is critical. Um, you also then when you move into writing content, you need to have the product marketers involved, not just in providing you with insights and product specifics, but as reviewers, like final sign off from the product marketers. Have you articulated things properly? Are you reaching the buyer with the right words and the right features and so on? So all the way through, the product marketer should be collaborating with content as a contributor and as a reviewer. And lots of product marketers are pretty flattered when the content team says, I would really value your review. And they're like,
Yeah.
I've never been involved with that before. And I think, wait, what? Like, you should absolutely be involved in content. I write the words, but I want you to verify, validate, and approve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of back to what you mentioned earlier is that partnership before launch should be established well beforehand, and then
Mhm.
also a lot of the pieces before an email sent out or a web page is propped up. That's where within product marketing specifically the message framework or the message house should be established so that you're able to one capture the value of the product but then show the proof points
Mhm.
through the message house, and that's in collaboration with the content team so that you're able to distill that into assets and to events, so that there's a consistency and a uh, guide for all that so that it's not all these disparate pieces, email saying one thing and your sales pitch is saying another, and your taglines at your booth at an event are saying something completely different. You need to have that messaging framework to be center all of that together. You got
Absolutely.
to do that with content marketing for sure.
And we haven't talked about it yet. When you are collaborating on the messaging, there should be a document or a PowerPoint or something that comes out of that effort. What is your elevator pitch? What are your proof points? What is your USP? And what is your mission and vision? All these things that you have created together have to be documented. And then
Yes.
organization, and I recommend the whole organization needs to be trained on how you're messaging your product.
Hmm.
Everyone,
Totally. Yeah.
everyone should know the messaging that product and content have come up with and how it manifests in content, in the customer facing stuff. Because it also manifests on sales calls, right? It manifests in emails that salespeople are writing.
Yes.
This collaboration manifests on every landing page, in every blog post. It's everywhere. And then you can always lead people back to the document and say, this is what we agreed as a company. This is our messaging. This is our framework for articulating our product to the right buyers, and train people on how that actually looks in practice.
Yeah, exactly. So you can have all your assets all in order. You can have your website, your pitch decks ready to go, your thought leadership content, and they can all have the same messaging foundation. But if your salespeople aren't saying the same thing, then there's a lot of inconsistency. So
Mm-hmm.
even though the assets are there, the people may not be. And so having the sales team trained on what's there is key. So it is on content marketing and product marketing to complete that, to do that training so that it's not going to be a matter of, hey, guess what? It exists. It's out there. So of course, what I said, no, you have to train people on it in order to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
That's so often a gap. The team spend all this time putting some messaging together, and then it just sits there in a deck, and even the CEO hasn't really seen it or
Yeah.
doesn't really understand the importance of it. So I mean, and that's not trivial. You don't just throw key points in a slide deck and then have a 1 hour meeting.
Yes.
You have to teach people what it means, why it's important, how to use it, where it manifests, and then it's a live document. There's also always and often a lot of drift in messaging.
Oh, yes.
And when maybe a new person comes and kind of puts their own spin on it, or a new salesperson comes and kind of doesn't like it, so they changed it. And you have to prevent that drift. So it has to be clear that product and content do control that messaging, and that what's defined is not to drift unless there's a strategic effort to drift it intentionally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I like that. It's a good term to use, drift, because even if you had everybody, you train them up in 2 or 3 months, everybody's there, but then somebody new comes in, they weren't trained on it, and then they start going their own way, and then the next person starts going their own way. So yeah, you're totally right on that. And then, or some 2 or 3 people miss the training.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of reasons for drift. I like how you do that. So yeah, it's important to kind of have an ongoing cadence to make sure everybody's on the same page, because it's certainly not a one and done thing.
No, it's not a one and done. And your messaging should be revisited every year. Your positioning and messaging should be revisited every year, maybe twice a year. If your product is changing and you're refining your go to market.
Totally. Yeah. So now we're kind of talking about creating this framework. We're talking about creating consistency for the sales team, but when product marketing, content marketing are working together to collaborate on the specific audience they're talking to, what do you think is the best way tactically to collaborate, turn customer insights into content?
Okay. So in some teams, the product marketers don't actually speak to customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in some organizations, they do. Either way, whoever speaks to the customer, you have to record those calls.
Yeah.
And you have to be asking the right questions. So whoever's talking to the customers need to be asking the right questions. What's your experience with the product? What are your barriers to usage? What are your objections? How do you feel about our pricing, and so on? Somebody's capturing the customer voice. If nobody is, then that's a separate problem. And then you have to be mining those call transcripts or recordings for the insights.
Yes.
So you can craft your messaging as aligned with actual real people who use your product. So it's a matter of getting your hands on that content, making sure you're getting your hands on it. And I've worked for many organizations who just do not have a mechanism, even recording calls. And you're like, somebody should be scribbling notes, like at least an assistant on the call. And then you can use AI tools to synthesize 15 transcripts and pull out key points. But that's what you have to be doing, is how do they talk about your product? How do they talk about the problems? Where are they getting stuck? All of that.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You've got to find a way to mine customer insights. You also have to have regular touch points, product marketing and content marketing teams. Do you meet weekly with an agenda? You meet monthly? If you're having offsite, marketing meetings, product representatives and content representatives need to be there collaborating. It's structured, frequent collaboration. Slack channels that they have in common to share ideas or to keep work moving along. Shared project management boards where you're tracking initiatives and owners, where the two overlap.
Yeah.
So any form of tracking or creating touch points so people are talking and moving work along and working together is going to help you. It cannot be ad hoc.
Yeah, totally. So I like that. So it's one, making sure there's some kind of mechanism to record and mine customer calls, because that's going to be where your source of information is.
Source, right. What other source do you have?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the second piece is having a routine, some kind of consistency where product marketing, content marketing are meeting together to make sure that there's alignment. Right. So
the manager of the team has to be facilitating and implementing these touch points. You can't just trust that it will happen, because some of us just don't naturally do those things in the course of our work. We're heads down, we're doing the work. We don't really remember to reach out and chat with people. So it has to be structured. And the manager's responsible for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that consistency is going to be key, and so you got to be on the same page for that. So that
Hmm.
totally makes sense.
Right.
All right, well, Lee, I think this has really been fantastic. I think your perspective makes something that often feels chaotic feel a little bit more structured.
Hmm.
So, but before we wrap, I want to get into our traditional rapid fire round to
Okay.
ask you quick questions with quick answers. How does that
Okay.
sound?
Great. Let's do it. Let's see what
All
comes up.
right, awesome. All right, first one. Favorite marketing tool.
Oh boy. There are so many marketing tools out there right now, but the one that I use every day is Claude. And that's because
Yeah.
I'm a writer, I'm a content marketer. I have custom GPTs for all the things, for a newsletter, for email nurture sequence that I've trained highly. So I'm in and out of Claude every day, all day. That does not mean that I ever publish content that was AI written. I
Mm,
always edit it, read it, tweak it, craft it. It is my engine to help me get unstuck and to go a little deeper.
absolutely. You got to use it as a thought partner
That
at the
partner.
very least.
Absolutely. Yeah, quality checker.
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
Hmm.
most underrated skill in content marketing.
This is going to be a surprising answer, but I would say writing. A lot of content marketers come to the discipline from digital or paid.
Okay.
So they're SEOs or they're paid ads people, but fewer come from like a journalism or a professional writing background. So honing your writing skills, actual conversion copywriting skills, is super important. I
That's
think
great.
that's important for product marketers too. So for
Yeah,
content,
absolutely.
hone your writing skills, understand why people convert, understand buyer psychology so you can be a better writer. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, writing is the foundation of product marketing because you're writing messaging frameworks, you're writing web
Mhm.
copy, you're writing emails, you're writing demo scripts, you're
Right.
writing decks. So
Mhm.
it really is the foundation of product marketing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
One of them,
Oh,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What's the biggest mistake to avoid in content marketing?
Yeah, we've talked about this some already, but not the biggest mistake or the biggest blind spot is not knowing your buyers well enough. I'm
Mm,
telling you, you don't know your buyers well enough. You don't talk to them often enough. You're not asking the right questions.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's the biggest mistake to avoid, that thinking that you know them well.
Oh,
Mhm.
marketing 101 is understanding your audience. Know your audience.
I don't know why so many of us just do it once and then move on. And
Yeah.
it is hard. It's hard. You have to get buyers on the phone or
Yeah.
find ways to get that information.
Totally. It's
Tour,
not easy.
Park
It's
tour.
not easy.
No, it's not easy. Yeah.
You gotta make an effort,
Hmm.
but it's the foundation for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
What's one thing you wished you knew when you started?
There's a couple things here. One is that the collaboration that we're talking about deeply matters, and it's not just between product marketing, content marketing. It's between the sales team, and the marketing team because they have insights. Um,
Hmm.
Digital marketing, all the disciplines need to be collaborating to improve the quality and the focus of your content.
Yeah.
So it is that you need to do everything you can to bust those silos down. And then the
Totally.
second thing, I think way back into my career, I do have a writing degree. That's my background is writing. Um, Learning how to write short form content. I don't think anybody knows how to do it until they have to.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? LinkedIn posts is short form content. Emails are short form content. Taglines are short form content. And within the context of a writing degree, or I don't know your background, Josh, but people don't learn how to do that, and it's not trivial. It's not the same as a
Yeah,
long
you're totally
information.
right. You're totally right.
Yeah,
You gotta have there's different styles, there's different formats. You gotta be able to adapt to those.
right. It's storytelling in 200 words, and my degree didn't teach me that.
You gotta be quick and
Got to
to
be
the point.
tight, right? It's about tight writing. It's about very focused, very precise writing in a short amount of words.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
And then last question, what's your favorite podcast?
Ooh, there's one that I just love, so much fun. It's called The Best Idea Yet. And it is a marketing masterclass. And they go through brands like Jacuzzi, like Birkenstock, like the Happy Meal, and Levi's jeans. And they're these two guys. They're funny, but they go through the story of the brand and the founder and marketing and how the product evolves. So it's seriously, it's a little bit of product marketing, it's a little bit of content marketing, it's about messaging and branding, and they're super entertaining. Highly recommended.
That's cool. I haven't heard of that, but that does sound pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So,
the first one I listened to is the one on Birkenstocks, and then the one on jacuzzi. So the
hmm,
jacuzzi family is a family of 12 children from Italy. And it's a story about aerospace engineering and then farming and irrigation, and then medical jacuzzi baths, like early 1900. Oh, listen to it. It's fascinating. Listen to it today.
wow, fat. Yeah, who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? These are all who knew stories. The one on Red Bull is actually also really interesting because Red Bull comes out of Thailand from a Thai pharmacy, and it was formulated to keep truck drivers awake. Truck drivers in Thailand.
So interesting. Who would have
And then,
known?
and then how it jumped across the ocean to the U.S. to North America is fascinating.
That's cool. That's really interesting. All right, I'll definitely have to check that podcast out.
Tell me when you do. Mm-hmm.
All right, Lee. Well, thanks again for joining me. I feel like this is a pretty packed episode with insights about how to bring product marketing and content marketing together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for everyone listening, this has been another episode of Marketing Genius Unpacked, show where we break down how AI scale ups build products, craft narratives, and execute go to market strategies that win. Catch this episode and all the others on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Links are in the show notes. I'm Josh Porter from Bit of Genius Consulting. See you next time.
Bye. Thanks, Josh.